This statue in the Greek underworld honestly looks more like the iconography of Mictlan, the Aztec underworld.
Olympus.
Aphrodite is wielding a sword here. Now, most parts of Greece did not depict Aphrodite as a goddess who would wield any weapon, but the parts that did, like Sparta, worshipped a version of her called Aphrodite Areia. And the surviving statue of this Aphrodite, while damaged, seems like it would have been wielding a spear rather than a sword. Yeah, I went into that much detail for that tiny of a nitpick. What of it?
When two souls are meant to be together.
Nothing can keep them apart.
Huh, that's rich coming from you two. How many souls have you literally kept apart throughout Greek mythology? Should I get Orpheus and Eurydice on the line? I'm sure they'd love to weigh in. Fun detail here, the masks of Hades' minions are very similar to actual ancient Greek theater masks. Who knew Hades was such a fan of the arts? You'd think that'd be more of a Dionysus thing. Now you may be thinking, aren't owls associated with Athena rather than Hades? Well, it's both actually. While the owl was Athena's sacred bird, the screech owl was considered an ill omen associated with Hades. In fact, there is a story where a minion of Hades named Ascalaphus ends up being transformed into a screech owl by Demeter.
Hestia, Athena, I need you to go to my keep and retrieve the Eleusinian stone. We can't risk it falling into Hera's hands. Bring it to Gaia. She'll know what to do.
Moving it may be riskier than keeping it here.
That's why I've chosen you.
Look, obviously Hestia is Bestia, no argument there. But I gotta ask, where are Zeus's 4 personal bodyguards/enforcers, Nike, Kratos, Bia, and Zealous? They're usually the ones he trusts with tasks like this, and even if he wouldn't have, shouldn't they be defending him during this literal siege of Olympus? See, right there's a statue of Zeus holding Nike, which symbolizes her being his right hand, so where the heck is she? Athena's shield is supposed to have Medusa's face on it, which doesn't seem to be the case here.
The Kyries, the Eaters of the Dead, are here. And with their help, we may still succeed.
The Kyries were indeed female underworld spirits who feast on those who have died violent deaths. So them being here makes perfect sense. However, while they feasted on the dead, they were unable to actually kill people themselves, and they couldn't go against the will of the gods. So how are they supposed to stop Hestia?
Where is she?
Hestia is heading for Crete.
It being here can only mean one thing.
Take it. I wish to be rid of it.
I don't blame you.
Little weird that Gaia is helping the gods at this point, since this is after the tales of Typhon and the Gigantus, and both those stories had her trying to wipe the Olympians out. It's also a bit funny that Hestia had to go to Crete to find Gaia, considering Gaia is literally supposed to be the entire Earth. I understand the reference, though, since Crete is where Gaia protected Zeus as he grew up.
The Fates are calling.
If the Fates used spiders as a calling card, what were they using before the tale of Arachne, since she was the first spider and the Fates were around for centuries before her? Then again, I guess it was the Fates who weaved that story in the first place, so maybe they had it all planned out way beforehand and they actually already had the idea for spiders and Athena's actions weren't really her own, and now my head hurts.
Do you know who we are?
The kings who stand judgment.
have sent many to stand before us. More than any other mortal-born man.
More than any mortal-born man, you say? I highly doubt that, considering Leonidas and his small force alone slew about 10 to 20,000 Persians in the Battle of Thermopylae, which was not his only battle. I did not see nearly that many people die in Season 1 of this show.
This is but a small taste of the fury you unleashed on the world. Not since the 30 tyrants have we seen bloodshed like this.
Oh, now we're referencing the 30 tyrants. That complicates the timeline because Seraphim's father was King Periander, who died in 585 BC, and the 30 tyrants' reign began at 404 BC. Unless Heron and Seraphim are at least 82 years old, the math ain't mathin'.
And while your life was filled with horrors, you were not without some small kindness.
Rhadamanthus is the one speaking and judging Seraphim here, but Rhadamanthus was said to judge the souls of people from Asia, while Ichus judged the souls from Europe.
In fact, with her you showed true philotimo, and, dare I say, agape.
Philotimo and agape are Greek terms for honor and love, which is nice to see here.
Your fate is clear. Do you repent?
And on that note, I'm going to point out that the word repent is actually of French origin, and the Greek equivalent would have been paineteo.
They were all born kings, given kingdoms by their father. And what did you do? How many youths did you feed to the Minotaur, King Minos?
Thank you! About time somebody pointed that out. Though I have no idea how the Minotaur story would have gone in this show, since they completely changed the purpose of the labyrinth in the last season, and then change it again in this season later.
Thank you, Zagreus. Where's Melly?
Really cool to see Zagreus and Melinoe on this show. Zagreus is a pretty complicated character, though, since some stories have him as a son of Zeus, and there's also tales of him being murdered, dismembered, and reborn as the god Dionysus. There are accounts with him as a son of Hades, though, and I think we all prefer that version.
If you really are one of the most powerful gods, then she wouldn't have to go.
Melinoe actually spends every night walking the earth with her army of ghosts, so she should still be able to visit her mom outside the underworld. In case you think this is Prometheus, and thus inaccurate since Prometheus wasn't in the underworld, this is actually Tydeus, a giant who was punished for assault by having his liver eaten by vultures every day in Tartarus. The only inaccurate part is that looks more like an eagle than a vulture. Plus, there's supposed to be two vultures, unless this actually is supposed to be Prometheus, in which case he shouldn't be in the underworld. The way Seraphim is being tortured here is almost exactly how Loki was tortured during his imprisonment. Wrong mythology.
When the last Titan fell, and his blood struck the sea, the giants were born. But the gods were deceived. For another, even more terrible monster was born that day. One whose name we dare not speak.
This is supposed to be the birth of Typhon. Typhon was born from Gaia and Tartarus, not the blood of a Titan. There is also no story of the gods treating Typhon's name like Voldemort. Typhon is literally the origin of the word typhoon, which is used a lot.
It would grow to become more powerful than the giants and the titans combined. The great serpent Python convinced the beast to wait and grow in power.
python did not reside underwater. It lived in Delphi until Apollo killed it shortly after the Titanomachy. Typhon is supposed to have 2 giant serpents for legs, and those look more like Godzilla legs.
We eventually subdued the beast and imprisoned it beneath Mount Etna. But because it was elemental, we could not slay it.
Okay, the Mount Etna thing is correct, but you're saying you couldn't slay it because it was elemental? You're all elemental gods, aren't you? Why is it you can die when you couldn't in the myths, but suddenly Typhon can't die when he has the same origin as the Gigantus who could also die? How does immortality work on this show?
So we called upon witchcraft and magic from the east, from Anatolia.
I believe this is supposed to be Hecate, since she's a goddess of witchcraft who was worshipped in Anatolia. She was also a triple goddess, which would explain the 6 arms. But then, where are her 3 faces, which she was much more famous for? Also, why was she supposedly hard for the gods to get a hold of when the myths have her interacting with and aiding them regularly?
The power the witch goddess stripped from the beast, she imbued into a diamond. The grand Eleusinian stone.
This stone isn't in Greek mythology. It is likely named after the Great Eleusinian Mysteries, which were famous religious ceremonies at the shrines of Demeter and Persephone in Eleusis. No idea how any of that would connect to stone made from the essence of Typhon, though. We see several minotaurs here, but there was only ever one minotaur in Greek myth. We also see the 6-armed Gigones coming to pay their respect, even though they were described as evil, lawless creatures. Hades' chariot was pulled by 4 horses, not 1.
What are you doing here?
Who is he? I just want to know who I'm competing with.
You're not competing with anyone. You've already lost.
Don't be so sure.
Are you drunk?
I brought you a gift. It's made of chromium steel, and the leather is from the finest of Zeus's heifers.
You shouldn't have.
Try it on.
Please don't touch me. What are you doing?
Assault is certainly common amongst Greek gods, but amazingly, Ares has never been guilty of it. In fact, he actually killed men for attempting it.
No, don't! If you eat the food of the dead, you'll be bound to the underworld.
Hades didn't stop her in the myth. He was more than happy to have a guarantee that she'd return. Question for the show, Hades, though. If you don't want her eating that, then what's up with putting a big display of it in the bedroom? What was the goal there?
It's your mother.
Demeter found Persephone in the myth because Hecate guided her through the underworld using her 2 torches, but here she is alone with 1 torch.
I'm cutting the cord.
No!
Persephone ate 6 pomegranate seeds, binding herself to the underworld. From me. Only Demeter wouldn't stand for it. She told everyone I kidnapped her, and was so furious, she brought desolation to the fields of the earth.
As you can probably tell, that's what the myths say. They also say the whole thing was Zeus's idea.
Why have you been
avoiding?
You tell him! You're the ones deciding everything that happens to him.
For when we cut a thread, the end comes at the exact moment we intended it to.
But yours has been cut by one without a deft touch.
Meaning what?
The death before you cannot be stopped. It crawls forward like sand falling from a glass, gaining momentum each and every day. By the quarter moon of the winter solstice, you will leave this world.
Hold on, the Fates are saying the winter solstice is coming up, but Persephone just left the underworld a couple episodes ago, which means winter should have just ended.
I've always preferred the bident over the sword. It's faster than the wind, sharper than any blade.
I don't see how it could be sharper than the harp sword, since it was said that blade could cut through anything.
I can't decide who I hate more. Heron's whore mother, or his mongrel brother, Seraphim. Why are you still here? You'll never be one of us, half-blood.
Are you unaware of all the times a mortal or demigod has been ascended to godhood? What makes you think that won't happen to Heron? He's certainly done more to deserve it than Helen, Aristeus, Asclepius, Ariadne, Ganymede, or Glaucus.
If it wasn't for Heron, none of you would be standing here.
You're lucky I'm fond of your father and the wars he's waged. For his sake, I'll allow you to speak out of turn. But watch your tongue, Amazonian.
If she's Amazonian, then her father should have been a stay-at-home dad, since the Amazons are a matriarchy where the women go to war and the men do the cooking and cleaning. The only notable exceptions to this are the Amazons who are daughters of Ares himself. Wait, is Ares actually talking about himself in the third person? Because that'd be really funny.
For your little ploys to draw my ire, I have to respect you. And there's only one place respect is earned. The Pygmachia Arena.
Fun fact, Pygmachia is an ancient Greek style of boxing or fistfighting. There's a lot of cool little Greek language Easter eggs in this show. What's weird is you'd think Heracles or the Hismene would be competing in that fight. The Hismene are literal Greek lesser deities of fighting. Would have been cool.
I will pay my respects to the fallen.
You lost that right when you waged war on us.
Who are you to speak for Olympus? You're just a bastard.
As are we.
Athena's not a bastard. Zeus and Metis were in fact married.
I will not let bastards determine our fate.
It's weird how elitist and anti-bastard Ares is, considering he's fathered dozens if not hundreds of them himself. And he does seem to care for them, as shown in the story where he defends the honor of his bastard daughter Alcippe.
Steadfast Hermes, brave Apollo, and Hephaestus, loyal to the end. Thank you, my sons.
Geez, screw Dionysus, I guess.
Wise Hestia, valiant Athena, and my cunning Artemis. I knew I could count on you.
Wow, and screw your daughter Persephone. Wait, no, not like that! You already did that once, and you should be ashamed of yourself!
The poets will tell your tales for all of eternity. But your philandering is a black mark upon your soul.
Philandering is certainly one word for the downright horrifying amount of assault Zeus has committed. By the way, are we not going to talk about all the murder and genocide he's pulled? Remember when he ate Metis? When he flooded the earth? When he arranged for all the evils to be unleashed on mankind? Do those not count?
When we were all vying for the Eleusinian stone, you sensed something was awry when you reached in. But you didn't say anything. It wasn't by chance you drew the Eleusinian stone. Hera made it so. And in your heart of hearts, you knew it.
Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades did draw lots to decide their territories, but there is no mention of Hera sabotaging it.
No man ever steps in the same river twice. For it is not the same river, and he is not the same man.
I know this is gonna shock people, but there were no Jor-El-style database holograms in Greek mythology.
Only the coming of the one who has been prophesied can save us when the evil whose name we never speak returns. It's believed that he'll rise up again, and only with the help of this one demigod can the heavens and earth be rescued from chaos. I believe that demigod is you.
Once again, this is eerily similar to how the Olympians needed the aid of Heracles to defeat the Gigantus. Heron's just swiping up all that Heracles lore.
By the gods.
What happened to them?
They were attacked by Kyries.
Kyries do not go after the living. They only feed on the dead.
But Kyries only feed on the dead.
Since Zeus has passed, many of the creatures he kept in line have begun to run free.
Oh, never mind then. This better not turn into another Mimir situation.
Do you seek passage across the gorge?
I do.
Then you must answer my riddle. But if you answer incorrectly, you'll find yourself atop my spit. Then, here is your riddle. What is greater than the gods and worse than the titans? The poor have it, and the rich require it.
This giant's way of killing is the same as Sinis, a bandit who used 2 trees to tear people apart. Not sure if it is supposed to be Sinis, since Sinis wasn't a giant and didn't ask riddles.
Give my best to the judges.
Sinis was actually killed by Theseus, and it was several generations before this show takes place.
I'm Heron. I'm Icarus.
I feel like using Icarus as a fake name in ancient Greece would be like using Schwarzenegger as a fake name nowadays. It might arise some suspicion due to how well known that person is.
What are you doing out here all by yourself?
I came to pay my respects.
For who?
Someone very dear to me. I was told that her sisters, the priestesses of Artemis, gathered her remains and buried them here. But it seems I was misinformed.
What's her name? We can help you look for her.
Gorgo, daughter of Solon from Kyllene. She was a priestess.
Gorgo definitely wasn't a priestess of Artemis in Greek myth. She was a lover of the Egyptian king Aegyptus and had 6 sons with him.
I am Iris.
Okay, I can't be the only one who thinks it's funny that the goddess Iris doesn't have irises. We literally named those after her. This would be like Achilles not having an Achilles tendon.
If you want justice, you need power. And there are only 2 ways to get it. You either grow stronger, or you weaken your adversaries. These spores are parasites, Ophiocordyceps, that take control of their host, reproducing again and again until finally they explode out. They will kill some mortals and weaken the gods they infect. Gods who stand against us.
You can't just unleash this on the world.
I already have.
Man, Demeter is an absolute monster in this show. Sure, she could be a drama queen in the myths, but not quite the Machiavellian nightmare we're seeing here.
Going under the boat!
Talos should not still be up and running after he lost all his fuel in Season 1. The myths specifically stated that that is how to defeat him. I'm guessing this is Scylla. Scylla should be way bigger than this, and reside at the Mycenaean Strait. and have 7 heads, not 3.
Who are you?
My name is Nobody.
Hey Seraphim, Odysseus called, and I think you know why.
I know what plagues you. You don't remember who or what you are. I've come to help you. To remind you of what you've forgotten. You are the Curates. You were tasked by Gaia to protect a newborn Zeus.
It's really great to see lesser-known characters like the Curates get some recognition, and there are exactly 5 of them, just like in the myths. Stuff like this is what I enjoy about this show.
He also banished the primordial giants, the children of Gaia.
Oh, now you want to acknowledge the siblings of the Titans. Feels like an attempted correction, but either way, those primordial giants were 3 elder cyclopes and 3 hecatoncheires, and there's more than 6 creatures shown here. Plus, only one of them looked like a hecatoncheires. This looks more like a medieval dragon than a Greek draken. There are some Greek monsters with serpent tails, like Cerberus and the Chimera, but the Sphinx was not one of them. Also, the Sphinx died during the Tale of Oedipus, and it's not that big.
No, you are not.
And it's wearing a uraeus here, which is an Egyptian thing. Now this is the labyrinth? Make up your mind. And yes, having the labyrinth in Crete is more accurate, but it wasn't in the Dictaean cave, it was part of Minos' kingdom. Hades is wearing his helmet here, and yet it's not turning him invisible. Did Aphrodite just summon a tornado? She's not a wind deity. That would be Aeolus or the Ennemoi.
Typhon. Typhon! Typhon! The time has come for the Titans to return!
There is no Greek story of Typhon attacking a second time, but what's funny is we actually have Gaia unleashing him now, which is more accurate to the story of his first attack. Look how that turned out. Hey yo, thanks for watching, and thank you to the Patreon people for making the videos like this possible. I appreciate that. By the way, just to set the record straight, I do not dislike the Blood of Zeus show. I think it's pretty entertaining, and, you know, I've said that in previous videos, but I guess not everyone gets that point. Like, some people were commenting on the Season 1 video, oh man, I can see how trash this show is. Not the point of the videos, guys. We're here to have fun. We're here to be educational. If you want to know my honest thoughts on all 3 seasons, I have separate videos for those. And yeah, I don't want to trash the show, mainly because, like, I know the Peloponnese brothers put a lot of work and passion into it. And actually, like I said, Charlie reached out to me, and he was a really good sport about the whole thing. When Season 2 dropped, he actually emailed me and offered me an early access code to watch it early, and my dumbass didn't notice the email until the show was already visible to everyone. But I was very, like, amazed to receive that email, and I messaged him back. I said thank you, and I told him, hey, I'm actually working on an Inaccuracy video. Is that okay with you? Because, you know, now I felt bad. And he responded, he said, yeah, do it, go for it. Like, he didn't mind. He was good about it. So, you know, I appreciate that. I enjoyed the show. I'll eventually do Season 3. We'll see when that is. I don't know how to end videos.